In this lesson we're going to go over some basic algebraic techniques. Now we're asked to simplify the following. The first one, 6x minus 4 times x plus 2. Well, that's 6x. Let's just write that down at the moment because it's, if you like, out there by itself. That minus 4 needs to multiply. So minus 4 times x is minus 4x, and the minus 4 times positive 2 is minus 8. At this stage now, collecting like terms, 6x minus 4x, well that's 2x, and we're left with minus 8 on the end there. The second one, x over 4 minus 3x minus 1 over 3. Now let's just write that down because we're going to do some multiplication and need a little bit of extra room there. Now what we need to do is, when we add and subtract algebraic fractions, look for a common denominator. In other words, what do 4 and 3 both go into? Well, the answer is 12. That's a number they both go into. They both go into 12. Then you ask yourself, 4 times what makes 12? What have we done? Well, we've times by 3. And if you do that to the bottom, must also do it to the top as well. Okay, that 3, how do we change that to a 12? We do that by timesing by 4. We must also do that to the top. Okay, we must put that in brackets because that whole thing is being divided by that 3, okay? Not just a single term as the first one was. So we've got 3x there, let's write that down. Then we've got minus, and then we'll just write down before expanding, okay? And I deliberately took an extra step here. I find that if people expand that in one go, they often get mixed up with the negatives. There's a couple of negatives there that you've got to be aware of. So let's just see what we've got. We've got 3x there certainly. Minus 4 times 3x is minus 12x. And this is what I was talking about. Minus 4 times minus 1. Well, that's plus 4. Okay, it's very easy to overlook that. Okay, if you just try to expand the previous step. Okay, that's all over 12. Let's simplify. We've got 3x minus 12x. So that's minus 9x. And there's that plus 4 as well. And that's all over 12. Okay, now often, alright, rather than having a negative term at the start of the expression, sometimes it will be written like this, 4 minus 9x over 12. It means the same thing. Okay, one answer isn't, if you like, better than the other, but just be aware that often, alright, rather than leading with that negative 9x, often they'll lead with a positive if given a chance. Okay, expand and simplify this one. 2x minus 4 in one set of brackets, x minus 5 in the other set of brackets. Okay, this is what's known as binomial expansion. Okay, that first 2x needs to multiply by both terms in the other brackets. Okay, just do little loops there to indicate that. Then we'd do the same with the minus 4. It would multiply by that x and that negative 5. So let's see how we go. We've got 2x multiplying by x. That will be 2x squared. Then the 2x multiplies by the negative 5. Not just 5, but negative 5. And that will be minus 10x. So the 2x, if you like, is done. We move then on to the minus 4. So minus 4 times x, minus 4x, and minus 4 times minus 5. Well, two minuses make a plus. So 4 times 5 is 20. So we get plus 20 there. At that stage there, we need to collect like terms. There's 2x squared. There's no other x squared, so we'll just write that down. Then we have minus 10x minus another 4x. So all up, that's minus 14x. And got plus 20 at the end there. Let's look at another one. 3xy plus z in one brackets, multiplying by xy minus z in the other set of brackets. So 3xy, again, we're going to multiply by each of those terms. And the z, we're going to do the same as well. So just draw those little loops there. All right, maybe at the start. Okay, once you get good at these, you won't need to draw them. But I've just drawn them there for a visual to see what's going on. So that 3xy timesing by xy. So we're going to get 3x squared y squared. And then that 3xy multiplies by the negative z, and we get minus 3xyz. So the 3xy is really done, so we're moving on to the z now. Z times by xy is positive xyz, and the positive z times the minus z. Okay, well, positive and a negative, certainly get a negative there, and z times z is z squared. So collecting like terms, if any, 3x squared y squared, there's no other of those, so let's write them down. But there are some x, y, z's to add and subtract. So here we go, minus 3 of them plus 1 of them. So we'll get minus 2 of x, y, z, and minus z squared on the end there as well. The third one here, 2m squared minus 5 multiplied by 6m squared plus 5. Well, again, let's just draw those little loops in. Okay. Now, the 2m squared multiplying by the 6m squared. Well, that will be 12m to the power of 4. Okay, now remember, when you multiply, we're going to add the indices, hence we get 4 there. Then we got 2m squared times positive 5, so that's plus 10m squared. Then the 2m squared's done, so let's move on to the minus 5. Minus 5 times 6m squared is minus 30m squared. And finally, minus 5 times positive 5 is minus 25. Alright, looking to collect like terms, 12m to the 4, there's no other m to the 4, so that's it. 10m squared minus 30m squared will be minus 20m squared, and we finish off with minus 25. Terrific. Right, we're looking at what's known now as the perfect square expansion. A plus b all squared, there's a result here, it equals a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So you want to remember that, but in words it's a little bit easier. So let's see, the first term squared, okay, so the a becomes squared, is a squared, that's the first term squared. Then we have plus twice the product. Now what does that mean? Well, twice the product a times b is ab. And if we double it, we twice it if you like, it's 2ab, okay? So twice the product. And then finally plus the last term squared. So our last term there was b, and we square that, we get b squared. So there's the result there in an algebraic expression or algebraic equation there. But in words, you'll probably find it easier to remember. So first term squared plus twice the product plus the last term squared. I'll tell you what, most people get it wrong. If they get it wrong, they forget the middle bit, the twice the product. Okay, no one forgets the first term squared. No one forgets the last term squared. People forget that middle bit, twice the product. Make sure you're not one of them. Okay, let's see some examples then. We're asked to expand the following: x plus 5 all squared. So first term squared, so x, we're going to square it, we get x squared. Twice the product, well, x times 5 is 5x, and we're doubling that, we get 10x. And last term squared, well, that's 5. 5 squared is 25. The next one, 3x minus 4 all squared. Well, the first term squared. Now, if we square 3x, don't forget to square the 3 as well, okay? So 3x, once we square it, we get 9x squared. Now, twice the product. Well, it's 3x, not just times 4, but in fact times minus 4. So 3x times minus 4 is minus 12x. But we've got to double that, so you end up getting minus 24x. And the last term squared, well, minus 4, well, once you square a negative, becomes a positive. Okay, so minus 4 squared will be plus 16. The next one, a plus 5b all squared. So again, first term squared, that'll be a squared. Twice the product, well, let's just multiply it firstly. 5b's timesing by the a, we get 5ab, but we have to double that, we get 10ab. And then the last term squared, well, that's 5b. Once we square that, 25b squared. Again, don't forget to square the 5 as well. Okay, so that's known as perfect squares. Next thing we're going to look at is the difference of two squares. Okay, there's a result here. A plus b times a minus b is equal to a squared minus b squared. Okay, so that result there, the difference of two squares, you'll need to know that very well. Let's look at some examples then that expand and simplify the first one. X plus 7 times x minus 7. So it's of the type where we expect to see a difference of two squares as the answer. So first term squared, x squared. And we basically minus, it's just always going to be minus then, and then the last term squared, or the next term squared, 7 squared, 49. Okay, x squared minus 49, easy. Next one, 2m minus 5, 2m plus 5. So the first term squared will be 4m squared, and then it's minus, always minus, then it's minus. 5 squared is 25. Next one, 3m minus a times 3m plus a. The first term squared, that's 9m squared minus, and then the second term squared is simply a squared. So our answer there, 9m squared minus a squared. Excellent. Well, all of those techniques, they're techniques that you probably have seen over previous years. You need to be very good at them and very fast at them. Okay, so when you see these sort of things, you need to be able to work very quickly and accurately.